or pass today, which one would best match up with it? Grace?
E.
Going E. You're going to go E. A credit card company could put you in jail for failure to pay your bill. Yeah, absolutely. How do credit cards work? You spend money through credit, and then you pay it back. If you have the money, you pay it back all right away, and you don't owe anything else. If you don't have the money, you give a small payment, and then what happens? You cry because then they add 20% interest, and then you end up owing more and more money than original. But credit card company would not put you in jail for failing to pay your bill initially. It'd have to happen over and over. But number one, E would be the best parallel to what Johnson has an issue with. Number two, I think I made enough comments to lead you in the direction that now number two would be a parallel syntax. Were there any that like Kobe, I'm guessing you didn't get A for number two? Okay.
Yeah. So, what makes it better to be A than C? Yeah, like we're right. The writing was rather vivacious, if you ask me.
What would be vivid adjective and adverbs that we're looking at? Are they, and of course my eyes can't keep up when you say them, so like I know, did you say atrophy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cells.
They go like more advanced ways to say like simpler things.
So
Well, I think that they could
But there's a difference between advanced vocabulary, I would say, and like vivid adjectives and adverbs. Like if you're going with vivid adjectives, you're essentially looking at, I would say, strong imagery.
Oh.
Now, to say, and here's where it can be tough. The way that atrophy is getting used, the way that gangrene is getting used, they're not getting used as adjectives. Gangrene is a condition. Atrophy is, wasting. It's the state of wasting away. So technically, the way that those ones are getting used are nouns. There certainly are words that are more endemic to 1758 than 2017. What we're sitting in. But is there strong imagery that he's using the whole way throughout? I'd say not as much as the parallel syntax. If you had paragraph upon paragraph, darkness of a prison, yes, you would certainly go, those are adjectives that are being used, that's imagery that's getting used. But the parallel syntax is getting used in like the third paragraph multiple times. It's getting used in the fifth paragraph. It's getting used, I start losing count, I think that's the 8th paragraph where it comes up, where this is one that tends to be more prominent, more widespread throughout the course of it, and that's where you're going to go with the parallel syntax. Active, present tense verbs, and like there's not emphasis, I would say, placed on those. Rhetorical questions aren't really happening, so I would hope that one's taken out. And really, the alternating long and short doesn't occur. I think because people see words that we're not accustomed to reading, we kind of automatically go, ooh, those ones are vivid. But from the grammatical standpoint, they're not really falling into those categories that get established.
So with this question, it's not like, because C and D are pretty in there, but they're not like the main focus. So do you want to find the main focus of his style? Is that basically?
Yeah, and style. What makes his writing different from style is not necessarily has to be completely unique. When you write, it's not going to be stylistic to use active present tense verbs.
Yeah.
The hope is you do, but that's not what's going to kind of distinguish him from other styles. His parallel syntax is something where you go, ooh, that sounds like this writer, because he uses it so much throughout. Number 3, first 4 paragraphs, all the following contribute to the central tone except, what is the central tone? we were to pick like a tone for the whole entire passage as a whole, critical. Grace, you said something. I couldn't hear what. Condemning, yeah. Critical, condemning, salty. Gangrene, zealous, corruption, malignity, rueful. I would say 4 of those have a very strong negative connotation, which would sound like critical and condemning and salty and all those things. Which one would have more of a positive connotation to it? B, zealous. I didn't go back into the passage, I'm just looking at connotation of it. And then zealous gets used with the term admirers in line 7.
Zealous is like.
If you're a zealous believer, like you're all into it, you know, a zealous fan, you know, is going to. Annalise is a zealous Marc-Andre Fleury supporter.
I was thinking more like
Impassioned, you know.
like cultists, like cult zealots. I was kind of thinking like that. So, oh, that's
Number 4, Johnson suggests he's alerted to this problem by.
C.
Yeah, takes walks. Hey, I noticed this when I'm walking through the city. Now, number 5 is a difficult question, certainly if you're not going to be familiar with the term atrophy. If you don't know what atrophy means, it's going to be a little bit of a crapshoot when it comes to this question. Now, you get a little bit of help where the term that's right by atrophy is idleness. So that might lead you in a direction. If someone's going, Mr. Kane, I don't know my 7 deadly sins, you don't have to worry about being misinformed. You can be safely assuming all 5 of those are going to count as deadly sins.
Yeah, I thought that.
Which they do. So there's not going to be that this is purposely here to trick you that hey, you know, you're a little lacking on your Catholicism, so you know. What do you think? It's sloth. Now, fans of Geico commercials will go, what does the little animal drawing the tandem bicycle on the Pictionary commercial have to do? Sloth is probably the hardest of the 7 deadly sins to kind of explain, because you can kind of go greed, lust, pride, okay? Sloth we don't really use. It essentially means atrophy, idleness, laziness. So atrophy is to you waste away by not using something. So that idleness, that laziness is most closely in line with sloth. If atrophy is a mystery, it becomes a much more difficult question. You know, and the expectation is never that you should be at 100%, because that's not realistic. It might happen every now and then, but to assume that you're going to get every single one right is not going to be realistic. The hope is you can minimize the ones that you do miss. The sentence "prosperity of people" basically says that DebtorsPrison commits a double wrong in that it, and we talked about this. A. You deprive country of citizens and you don't return assets. Paragraph 5. This one is I don't want to call it a time waster. This one takes time, because you have this whole thing here with accept. So you have to go through paragraph 5, which is the last one on the first page, read through it, and see which one of these answers would count as reasons that people would give. One will answer that his debtor once lived better than himself. That's A. So I'm crossing it out. I'm not saying that's going to be the correct answer. And another that his wife looked above her neighbors and his children went in silk clothes to the dancing school. Not really there. Another that he pretended to be a joker and a wit. Some will reply that if they were in debt, they should meet with the same treatment. And then the last one that gets mentioned, some will confess their resolution that their debtors should rot in jail, and some will discover that they hope by cruelty to wring payment from their friends. So E gets taken out, and I get left with B. That one's difficult because it takes time. For 8, what's he start to do? Now in paragraph 6, after he gives all these things, he now starts to outline a solution. Let them pay the money back. We'll do it over a certain amount of time so we don't have to worry about it. 9 is a bugger of a question. Is it which one? And E, loathsome. I think between, that was going to be my guess. I would say A, B, and E are probably the most common ones that get mentioned. Cruelty, honestly, Kobe, not much of a difference. Loathsome gets used to describe the traffic, where cruel, and so like the actions that are taking place, where cruel is going to tend to be more with like the person, him or herself.
Okay, so it's more, I do an action,
It's going to be more of a cruel action as opposed to like a loathsome problem that would exist.
okay.
11 ends up being D. 12 is B as in boy. And then the very last one with 13, we get Z.
Okay.
Which we talked about, that whole explanation that Emma was giving us. 13 was C.
I think I missed all the ones that I got wrong.
And then 11 was D, 12 B.
When you say you think you got the first paragraph, you get them all wrong.
Trading nations.
Oh, I had a C.
Wait, 10 is what?
10 is A, sorry.
Why is 10 not C? Because he talks about both merchants and like trading nations, and I feel like that could both be sides of the traders.
Yeah, I'll mark it down.
So I thought that traders to debtors would be like the
Next last paragraph. So using nation trade with nation, where no payment can be compelled, mutual convenience produces mutual confidence. Otherwise, I'm just reading it. Merchants continue to satisfy the demands of each other, so they have nothing to dread but the loss of the trade. So is why, because since merchants get mentioned in both, like merchants get mentioned, so why can't it be the other one as well?
Good name, Skin.
You too.
no, like why can't it be C? Because C mentions like it's really general. It's just traders to debtors, but it talks about both like trading nations and merchants. So it's like combining two answers, and I feel like C is the most general option.
Since it starts with we see nation trade with nation, where no payment can be compelled, the merchants are representative of the nations. Like the merchants are, so it's the French merchant with the British merchant, so they're still part of that trading nation commerce part that